Wilson, Senior Director of BLEXIT and the founder of the BLEXIT chapters. I want to share why BLEXIT isn't just another movement. BLEXIT is the hands and feet of real change in minority America. From the streets of Baltimore, Atlanta, Chicago, and Detroit, to the campuses of our nation's historic Black colleges and universities, we are there. We don't just talk about the issues, we get directly involved right in the heart of where liberation is needed the most. Unlike the left, we don't believe that the solution to fixing problems in Black America relies in more government handouts. That's why we address the root causes. We know that so many in the community don't chase after that dream job because they lack the confidence. But why? It could be as simple as they've never been taught how to write a resume. So we have resume services. We do job training. We believe with the right resources and tools, you can do more for yourself than whatever the government can provide you. We know that if someone ends up on government dependency, their children are more likely to end up on it as well. We are making a genuine impact, one community at a time. And here's something remarkable. Over 70% of our leaders once identified with the left, but they've made the powerful choice to break free from a victim mindset.
Well, you know.
Now they're helping others do the same, reclaiming control over their own lives and futures. We are on the front lines, delivering logic, truth, and empowerment to those who need it the most. If you are ready to be a part of a movement that's not just inspiring change, but actively creating it, now is the time. So partner with us and let's take this cultural revolution to the next level.
Wow, sign me up. Guys, I'm very excited. We have the Senior Director of BLEXIT, Pierre Wilson, here. That is a really inspirational video, and I'm so excited to have Pierre here. Gray, you going to join?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if Pierre knows, but I'm the left-wing part of the channel, but thank you, Pierre, for coming. That video was very good. So let's get right into it. Tell us about your history and why you choose to serve in BLEXIT.
Well, I actually grew up very left-leaning. So for years, or you ask people who knew me in my childhood, my younger years, I should say, they would probably be shocked. If you ask them if they thought I would be, right-leaning today, they were like, absolutely not. I thought he would absolutely be left-leaning because I was, speaking all the talking points of the left. I would, marching with BLM. I very much saw myself in a different light than the light I see myself in today. And that's not to completely knock everybody on the left, but it's just the mindset that I had was very much a victim mindset. I believed all the things that were told to me, like I was probably going to have to work 10 times harder to reach success within my life. The police were going to see me immediately and not like me because of the color of my skin, that there would always be I was never told the white man's name, but I was always told there was going to be some white man around every corner blocking me from success. So, I truly believed a lot of these things for many years, and I would share them. I would share them with other people in my life. But I had a few different moments in my life that now that I am more open about my conservative beliefs and values, and I know how I feel, I know where I stand, where I look back on and I say, okay, Lord, that was a couple moments where I think you were tugging at me. I don't walk through all of them today because there's a good amount of them, but there was one situation that I remember because I attended school for 3 years at a historically Black college university. And I remember sitting it was like a forum they had. And during that period of time, there was a primary going on between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. And, so anybody who knows, like, you guys know this, like in a large amount of Black community, you don't even consider the candidate on the right. The real presidential election is the primary, who comes out of that primary, because whoever comes out of the Democrat primary is typically who most Black people are going to vote for, right? So the real election is, who are you going to pick? So it was Hillary versus Obama, and they were passing the mic around and everybody was saying, Obama. And remember, I'm at HBCU. I wasn't sure yet who I was going to vote for between the two of them because I didn't know a lot about Obama, and I did know a little bit about Hillary at the time. So I was really still weighing my options. And I remember when the mic got to me and I said that, I said those exact words. I said, I'm not sure. I really have to continue to do more research. I really don't know. you would have thought like a pin, like you would have thought that I said I was going to kill someone's cat in that room. Like you could have heard a pin drop. People were shocked that I did not just say Obama. And the girl who got the mic after me, she was like, "How can you, as a black man, say that you don't know who you're going to vote for?" And I'm like looking at her, and she's looking at me because I'm waiting for her to finish this statement, this comment. But that was it. It was that I was black and he was black, so that should have been enough. And I was like, that's not enough. Like, what if a white person said that? Like, what if a white person said, "I'm voting for Hillary because she's white"? Like, how would we all
Mhm.
feel right now? So that was a very troubling moment for me, where I realized, like, are we voting because we really believe in a person, or are we voting because this is what we were told to do, what we always have known?
Mhm.
And then I'll just say this: the last kind of really, I guess, red pill moment for me was I was watching a video of different conservative influencers. I was really bored one night, man. I had to be really bored to do that. But they were saying some things that were shocking to me that I knew. I was like, they're lying. They were talking about the single motherhood rate in Black community, Black on Black crime, the welfare system, how it got started, where we are today, the way it's hurts Black, like all these things from a perspective I had never heard. I was like, I've never heard anybody talk about it from this angle. So I'm writing these things down and I'm like, absolutely not. They're lying. They're wrong. This is not true. So I go and I start to do my own research and I'm like, I'm going to
Mhm.
fact check them. I'm going to prove they're wrong. Man, when I tell you, almost every single thing that I had written down was exactly like they were telling the truth. This was all true.
Mm.
So I was like, wow, why? Like I can laugh about it today, but in that moment, I felt lied to. I felt like I questioned everything. I didn't know if I had ever been told the full truth. Um, I felt a lot of different things, and I'll wrap up
Mhm.
because I know I'm going long winded. But I decided to speak up one day and share my beliefs. At the time, BLEXIT had just launched. Candace and Brandon had just started it.
Mhm.
And they said they were going to do these shows. They were like, "Oh, we're going to do these shows around the country." I'm like, "These shows are great, but what about people like myself who don't have anyone to turn to? I don't know any other conservatives. I don't know anyone else.
Mhm.
I can go to the show and I can feel great, but what next?"
Mhm.
So I took it upon myself to just create a Blexit chapter, the first one, if you will. And I'm so thankful that
Wow.
Brandon didn't send me a cease and desist letter because they never authorized this chapter. And I wanted to build a space like a community, a place where people can be conservatives and it'll be okay. 3 months later, Candace saw like the work we were doing on social media because we had created a page for a friend and I that I met at a Republican club. She loved it and she DM'd me and she was like, "I want to do this across the country." We get on the phone. 3 months later, I was hired as the first
Wow.
employee of Exit. So here we are today with chapters now in every state. So definitely a God thing. Definitely a God thing.
Congrats.
Amen. Yeah, congratulations. So you are like the founder of the chapters per se. That's really cool. I didn't know that history. So I have two questions. One, what HBCU did you go to? Because you mentioned it.
University of Maryland Eastern Shore. My grandfather
Okay.
actually went there too. So most of my family had graduated from Howard. Like my grandmother, my dad, my sister, my aunt. Like we were a Howard family. But my grandfather, who was like my hero, he graduated from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and I wanted to make him proud. So I ended up not
Mhm.
graduating from there. I ended up graduating from Salisbury University because the major I wanted was political science. But I spent 3 years there. I was elected junior class president there. But I ended up
Wow.
graduating at Salisbury up the road because I didn't have political science. So
Yeah, we have that in common. I started at FAMU and then I switched over to UCF. So I definitely can relate to that transition story. So what are the future plans of Blexit now that you are the senior director?
well, I think more than anything, and what I tell people all the time is that Brexit isn't here to force anyone to believe anything. We've had individuals who we've had conversations with, and they're like, after talking to you guys, after doing some research or whatever, I still feel like I lean left. Cool. I think our goal more than anything is like we want to educate people. We want. It's almost like having a puzzle and you only have
Mhm.
half of the pieces. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the case for a lot of people in the Black community. Not everybody. I don't want to group everyone to the same box. But for a lot of individuals that we talk to, especially on these campuses, we're educating them on things they've never been told, that they've never heard it from that perspective. They've only gotten the story from another person who is liberal, and they've not
Mhm.
got they have not heard a conservative's perspective. So I think for us, we always feel like it's our duty, it's our job to provide the remaining pieces of that puzzle, so that when you put those pieces together and you see that full picture, you can decide on your own where you stand, not where your mom stands, not where your daddy stands, not where grandma stands, not what the teacher's telling you. What do you actually believe? And I think we can go to bed at night feeling better when people make decisions like that, that are their decisions. So for us, it's really going to be continuing to provide those puzzle pieces in ways that I think the right has done a really bad job. I talk about the right sometimes too. The right has spoken a lot
Mhm.
about what needs to be done in the Black community, but there wasn't enough work being done in the Black community.
Mhm.
And Brexit is changing that. That's why you see us on
Mhm.
HBCU campuses. That's why you see us in Black churches. That's why you see us in these places, because it's not enough to sit and just talk about them. You have to get boots on the ground and actually meet these people where they are, have this
True.
conversation, and just really, spread a message of empowerment. Even on this tour right now, I know the media is having a field day with what they're saying, but I'll be real with you. We have a ton of footage. We're going to keep releasing more. It's not the students. It's not the students. It's the faculty. It's not the students. The students are great. And there's been a lot of situations where people will say, I agree with a good amount of that. And there's some situations where, like, you know what? I agree to disagree, but you guys are cool though. We get a lot of that too. So it's, the media will run with a different narrative, but we just want to continue to spread a message of freedom, empowerment, and provide a different perspective for people to think about.
You answered a lot of our questions, but was there a particular reasons that you guys pick HBCUs?
More than anything, I mean, I think there's twofold for me. One is kind of personal because I went to one. So one is kind of like that connection. I remember what it's like being on HBCU, and I know there's like a mixed feelings in the conservative world about how they feel about HBCUs. Do I think that they're needed in the same way they were needed in the past? No, but do I think they're rich in history, and I still have a great respect for them? Absolutely. I think HBCUs are so rich in history. I remember being at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and there was this room that we had. I wish I could remember what it's called. My wife probably knows, but there was just filled with pictures of history from how it got started to the old football team we used to have, and how back in the day, the football team had gotten so good that it was beating the University of Maryland College Park team, the predominantly white team, and that that resulted in some funding being cut at one point because we were almost too good. So they were definitely
Mhm.
needed back in the day because Black people didn't have the same opportunities as I feel like Black people have today. But so I have, but I even though I don't agree with the left's narrative of why HBCU should be here, I still do personally have a great respect for them. But more than anything, I know when I was on those campuses, there was a guy too who said he was conservative. And I remember being one of the many, and I'm not proud of this anymore, but I remember being one of
Mhm.
many of us who were making fun of him, joking on him, calling him names, saying all sorts of stuff. And I wish I could apologize to that guy because it was bold for him to say that, and because on that campus there really wasn't room for that type of thought. Like you were seen almost as a clown, almost, right? Like it was not a place where you could have open dialogue and share different perspectives. It was very much like this is a left-leaning school, this is a left-leaning campus, the professors, everyone. So Brexit needs to be there to
Mhm.
answer your question. Like, if I feel like it's almost our duty to be there, because if we're not, who is going to have these type of conversations on these campuses? Who's going to bring this type of perspective? And for students that we are meeting who say they are conservative, excuse me, many of them are in fear of speaking up. You know what I mean?
True.
We just had
Mhm.
this happen at Hampton. We had two young ladies who were so like, they were like, I believe in what you're saying. I feel like I don't have anyone to talk to. Like I like, they were so all in, and they got pressured. They got pressured by their peers now, to back out, to like not do the club because they were going to help us open the club and register on campus. They just got pressured.
Wow.
We got we have messages and all sorts of stuff from them saying the opposite. They were excited to come to an event, like, and of course we're not going to, out of respect for them, they're students. Like, we're not here to just embarrass people, so we're not going to release their private messages, but we're going to continue to try to
Mhm.
work with them behind the scenes. But we have it. We have like, they were so stoked, but now they've received pressure. Hampton University's put out a statement. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah,
Put out a
I was gonna
statement against
ask you
us.
about that.
Yeah, and I get it. It's like, and I'm like, that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like that at all. But unfortunately, it is. So I think it's almost like our duty. It's our mission. Like we have to do it. If not us, who else? If not us, who else?
Yeah, and that leads into my next question. What was the reception? I want to share this screen because this went viral. And this was in particular talking about Howard University. Washington Post says Howard University's homecoming collided with conservative politics when the Turning Point USA-backed BLEXIT movement showed up uninvited as part of the organization's tour of historically Black campuses. And I want to say this, Pierre, I don't know if you're okay with me saying this, but my understanding is this was planned before what happened to Charlie Kirk. So
Correct.
they're making it seem like it just happened. Like that was what a lot of people have been saying online. Can you speak to that? Like, what do you think about that misconception?
Yes, so glad you brought this up. So this is actually our third year doing Educate to Liberate, and these are not things that you can just plan within a week or two. There's a lot that goes involved that goes into planning something like this. We have to make sure we have the talent. We need videographers. We need photographers. We need to make sure we have our student leaders on the ground. There's schedules that have to be coordinated. There's funds that need to be. So listen, I think my team is pretty super. They're great. They do a lot. We work a lot of late nights, but man, did they think we did this in a matter of a couple of weeks? Wow. That's interesting, but people can just really actually go back and look and see that this is year 3. We've been doing this since 2023, and the HBCU initiative that we've had has been in place, my gosh, since maybe 2021. So this is not a new thing for BLEXIT. This is something that we believed in. It's gotten a lot more attention, obviously, after what happened to Charlie, our founder, my friend. It's gotten a ton more attention, but this was not something that was done just in the aftermath of him being murdered. We've always believed that we belong on these campuses, that we should create an environment where it's okay to speak out about your conservative values. We can do it in a way that's loving, that's supportive, that's not controversial. They're saying things like we're there to cause chaos and all this other stuff. I'm like, no, we're not there to. We're here to have a conversation. If it was so chaotic, you would have heard stuff over the last 2 years about how chaotic we were. Why wasn't there anything? Why wasn't there any news reports about us being chaotic over the last 2 years? That's a narrative that's being put out there. And again, I will say this over and over again. The students have not been the issue. It's largely been faculty and staff. It's not been the students. I'm not saying every student agrees with us. I would be lying if I tell you that. Other students are like, no, I don't agree with that. But even then, like, they're probably like, but we love the same sports team though, right? It's always respectful. Like, it's not, we find something that we may agree on, even if it's not every cultural political issue. And again, if I had a penny for every time people have said, you guys are not that bad, I'm like, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Because and then the sad part is that they have to say you guys and say it that way because it speaks to what I was saying. We've been taught that they were, I don't know, we have wings and we have 3 legs or something. No, we want the best for the Black community. We just go about it. We have different ways of how we get there. So, and I think a lot of them see that.
I saw that Ron DeSantis actually passed something like for Turning Point to allow chapters in the school. So specifically for Turning Point. So would there be future partnerships with HBCUs, including local chapters for BLEXIT?
Yeah, and what he did, and I was very proud to see that, and what he did was for our national field program. Part of Turning Point's orbit is they have a student group that is a little bit different than ours. Like, we focus more on minority communities, but these other student group focuses pretty much on all different sorts of college campuses, high schools, and I love that he did that. Basically, every high school has to allow a Club America, which is our high school student program. They have to allow a club to be formed if a student wants it to be formed. It's so sad that we have to do that, but unfortunately, yeah, we may have to talk to the governor and other governors about things like that, because we do, for example, we have some students on campuses now who BLEXIT recognizes, like, they're recognized as a club for us, but they're not recognized on the campus because the campus is stalling it. Like, they're stalling the paperwork. We have one club that's been waiting for over 6 months. They've turned everything in. They have everything they needed, all the requirements met, but it's sitting on someone's desk. And every time we say, hey, can we get an update? Oh, we're working on it. Or it's this person, it's that person. So almost filibustering it or whatever you want, whatever way you want to phrase it, but they're holding us up from being registered, and we know why. So sometimes we have to have things
Yeah.
like Governor DeSantis or these other governors who have to say, hey, if you don't allow these clubs, then we're going to come after you with the full power of the governor's office. So that's something that we will consider, but I don't know that it's the route that I want to go right away. I am doing everything in my power to work with these universities. Some people think I'm absolutely crazy for wanting to do that. Call me hopeful, whatever you want, but I really I want to do it as best as possible,
Mhm.
the right way. I want to build connections. I want to build relationships. I want people to understand that we're not the boogeyman. I want people to understand that we are here really just to provide the full puzzle pieces to these students, and they can choose whatever it is that they believe in, as long as they know why they believe in it. That's all we want. That's all we want.
No, yeah, like I was talking to Jonathan yesterday, and I said, I think it should even go further, like high schools, middle schools. And so that was great to hear that it's going in that direction, because this reminds me of what Sharice Lane talked about last year. I don't know if you remember her, but she was the young lady at FAMU that was trying to start a young Republican club. And she said she could not find a faculty member to agree to do it due to
Yeah.
pressure from the administration. So this is not a new thing that Pierre is saying. This has been happening all around the country, unfortunately. So, based on that, post tour stops, has there been increased interest in BLEXIT? Like, have people been reaching out at universities, coming to you and saying, "Hey, we're having these problems. Like, what are some steps? Like, what's advice that you would give if they run into these hurdles?"
Yeah, I think with the thing about the media is, sometimes they end up they try to push a narrative, but then they lose control of it, because right now the narrative is like we're chaotic and we're crazy and we're all this stuff. But what it's actually doing is shining a light on what we're really doing. People are doing some research for themselves, and there are students who have reached out to my team and I who are like, "Hey, I want to do this on this campus. This is the problems I'm having." So we're working with those students right now. Um, Again, it's not going to be an easy process, because I truly believe that there should be more oversight into these schools when they have so much power over what clubs they can allow or don't allow, including in the public universities. Like, it's a shame how much I think some of them are getting away with, and I think there needs to be more oversight, because when we're leaving it to these schools who are the ones who can truly authorize these clubs, that they're doing everything in their power. Even if they have students or a faculty advisor who's saying, "Hey, I support it. I'll sign on for them." It's still being held up. So uh, we're not going to sit here and promise the road is going to be easy. But for these students who are out there and they feel like they're alone, know that you're not. Know that you do have us. We do have lawyers. We do have the financial resources. We have the ability to help amplify your voice, because your voice should be heard too, just like your peers. So, yeah, we're getting a lot of different people reaching out. We just launched 2 more clubs directly as a result of ETL, Educate to Liberate, and then we have a ton more students that we're working with right now. So we're seeing the growth, and that's why we can't stop. That's exactly why we can't stop.
Can you tell us about actions BLEXIT is doing to serve in the communities that many people may not know?
Yeah, so the Educate to Liberate, road trip that we're on has gotten so much attention, but that actually is not even the biggest part of BLEXIT. The biggest part of BLEXIT is our city chapters. So we have chapters like that are not related to what we do on campus, that are just in local communities, and they do. Most chapters do 2 to 3 activism days, or as some people know them as events, a month. And these are community-led events. So I'll give you an example. Some people say, "Oh, well, there's already groups that do clothing drives or food drives." Well, the difference is, when BLEXIT, if we do a clothing drive, we do a food drive, we're not just going to give you food and a coat and then say, "Hey, enjoy that, have a good day," and then see you back again next week or 2 weeks from now. What we're doing is, if you come and you get something from us, we want to have a conversation with you. We're not trying to be invasive or intrusive, but we want to understand what it is that got you into this position so that we can help. If you don't have a job, okay, cool. We have individuals who we can help share some job opportunities and maybe make it easier for you to land one. If you're someone that's like, "I've never done interview, like I don't even know how to interview for a job," we get a lot of people like that. Like, know how to, I don't interview tips. I've never done a real interview. We can do mock interviews with you. We have professionals that can do that with you. If you don't have a resume, we have resume people, we have resume writers. Whatever the root is that has caused you to be in this situation where you're unable to take care of yourself, we want to help, so we like to refer to it as a hand up versus a handout, because a handout you're going to continue to need another handout, another one. Whereas if we give you a hand up, the goal is that you'll be able to stand on your own 2 feet. So at some point, and we truly believe that that's going to be better than anything that the government can give you and any free item you can get at a food drive. So that's the key thing for us. And I guess another way to put that is we want to teach people how to fish versus bring them to fish. So that's what our chapters are doing. They do that through all sorts of different creative events. We've done things in community centers. We've done socials where we're getting to know the community. We've done our block parties, again, where we'll have vendors set up, like job training, job hiring on the spot, along with food and music and all of that performances. We don't think it has to be boring either. If anybody has been to a BLEXIT event, they'll know that you're going to hear good music, you're going to get some good food, it's going to feel like the culture, because we don't believe this has to be some boring political, you're in a 3-piece suit speech where we're just, preaching at you about what you're doing wrong. We want you we want to embrace the parts that we feel like is the best thing about the community while also uplifting the community. So you get a little bit of a mixture of that at our events.
Yeah, that's true. The music was fun and the food was good. So he's not lying. The
We try to make it a good time. People call sometimes like our liberation show, for example, people say this feels like a family reunion. I'm like, that's good. We wanted to.
It was fun. Gray, is there any other questions you want to ask?
No, Pierre, thank you for coming. I think what you guys are doing is important. I wish you great success. Hopefully we can do this again.
I have one more thing. I just want to show how people can join Pierre. If you can let them know, I'm going to share the screen.
Yes, definitely go to BLEXIT.com. Yep.
So guys,
www.BLEXIT.com.
And then you can hit join a chapter. You learn about the chapter. So definitely go check it out. Join BLEXIT. It's a great organization, great for the community, and I really appreciate Pierre coming. Pierre, what's your closing thoughts?
More than anything, I say this, whenever I have a chance to, whether it's a podcast or whether I'm on stage, I just encourage people at the end to get involved, whatever that looks like for you. Even if it's not BLEXIT, if it's something else. But I think we're at a place where we need everyone to get involved. And, for some people that may be donating, for some people that may be actually, boots on the ground. For some people, it may be, doing a podcast like what you guys are doing and spreading the message. Get involved whatever way you can. I think that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, no matter what you believe in, no matter what your stance is, it's going to take all of us if we're going to put this country on the right track. So get involved, pray about it, and make sure you find a way to give back to your country.
Yeah, and everyone, please go check out more from BLEXIT. Do your own research, and we really appreciate you for coming, Pierre. Make sure you guys, again, like he said, pray about it and get involved.
Thank you guys so much.